Okay, we have about 20, 40 people. Okay. Well, the lecture tonight is about diets and about weight loss, and specifically about the new product that the Shaklee company came out with called CINCH diet. And I was trying to figure what I'm going to be talking about this diet specifically. And there is something about it that made me call Joyce and ask her if we can give a lecture about weight loss or about diet specifically. And the reason behind that is, I'll give you this picture, maybe you can, we can focus on this lady right here. Okay, optimal nutrition for health, okay. The reason behind it, I was invited to go to San Francisco to the Shaklee convention and to see what is this new diet all about. And I had to pay my own way, which costs lots of money, to learn something maybe new. And of course, I go to lots of conferences. I go every month to Scripps Clinic in San Diego. How many people know about Scripps Clinic, heard about it? Okay, so you know Scripps is one of the leaders in nutrition in the world, right? All of you. So we go every month to learn. We all get together, like 300 doctors, and we get together, we share ideas from all over. Some of them related to all of them related to holistic medicine, but some of them related to different subjects. You know, and all the scientists from all over the country get together every month, and we have a lecture there. So I said, well, this time I'm going to go to Shaklee convention in the evening, one day, which was, I believe, Thursday, and Friday I will go to Scripps, and Saturday I come back. And then that's exactly how stressful it was that week. And then I attended the lecture, and I was, of course, you have to know a little bit about my background. I finished my PhD in biochemistry, so I'm a professor of biochemistry, and also I'm a professor of agronomy or agriculture, herbal medicine, and vitamins. So if anybody's going to say anything about anything, I can pick through what they're saying is true or not true. Are you following me or not? Even Shaklee, you know, I don't care if whatever company, even if Shaklee have a convention and I'm attending and something is wrong, I will say this is wrong because I'm one of the advisory committee to them, and I told them that doesn't sound right. You know, that's not the way it's going to be. And that's my opinion because I'm not paid. I don't get paid to say my opinion. So in any way, they introduced that, and I was very impressed by the new inventions they had. When I was, when I was impressed with that, I decided to give a lecture about it. But how I'm going to give a lecture about it without explaining to the people what's the difference between my lecture on it versus somebody from Shaklee speaking on it? The big difference. The big difference is the big Shaklee, they're going to tell you how successful it is, how good it is, and how many people lost weight, and how, you know, that's the stuff the company shares, right? For me, I have to tell you the scientific evidence in my clinical practice of that diet versus other diets. You understand? Because I have 15,000 patients, I have people on Jenny Craig, I have people on Weight Watchers, I have people on this, I have my own diet, I have all of these things, and we've been doing it for 28 years. We've been dieting for 28 years. So anything can go right, I will tell people about it, and anything can go wrong, I tell them about it, that we have failed a lot with nutrition, with diets. More failure than success for the last 28 years. And that because we never really understood before the reason of obesity. And tonight we're going to talk about that. When we talk about obesity, we're not going to talk about overweight. We're going to talk about the waist size versus the hip size ratio. And if the waist size to the hip size is above what is supposed to be, then we have too much fat around the abdomen, then we're going to have so many problems. And that ratio, it should be 1 to 2 in women and 2 to 3 in men, or 3 to 4 in men. So the waist has to be always smaller than the hip, men or women. Are you following me or not? For women, has to be much less than men. Because the structure God made them, they have a little bit more muscles in the back, and they have more muscles in the front than women do. They're not fatter, but they have more muscles. So that muscles give them a little bit bigger waist, but it's not bigger than the hip. But what you see, where all of us, you can see somebody who is skinny, but the hip waist to hip ratio is not right, and that person will have the diseases we're going to talk about today. Even they are thin. And you can hear about some people like that, they are not overweight, but they still have these diseases. And they will wonder, why do I have it? And that's what we're going to talk about. If we look at the metabolism of fat, how energy is produced inside the body, we know that if we have a human being that looks like this, like that, and that person needs fat to produce energy in the bone or in the skin in the winter, so they get, this is the skin right there around it, so they get warm, or they need circulation, they need fat to support to the body muscles, energy for inside, such as energy for the muscles of the body, energy for the kidney function, heart function, everything else, everything need energy. This energy is what makes the fat is being produced in the body. But there is difference between fat and fat. And let us go through the human history and find out what's the difference. Normally speaking, you will consume food that is carbohydrate, and that's fat, and other things that can produce energy for the body. The carbohydrate can be complex like starches, or it can be simple like fruits. The fat can be oil, or it can be omega-6, or it can be omega-3. These are the fats we're supposed to consume. Omega-6, you get that from oils. Omega-3, you get that from fish. And then you can even consume even little bit of saturated fat. That's okay also. You know, you can consume a little bit of butter, which is saturated, a little bit saturated fat, or you can consume fat from chicken or turkey, a little bit, in small quantity, also was accepted in human history, no problem. This is the way the energy is produced. The food goes in to the stomach, right here, it gets digested, and then it gets absorbed in the intestine. Are you following me so far? Okay, because we want to save the time for the diet itself in the end, so I'm going to just giving you preparation for it so you understand. And the food will go in, it gets digested, then it gets absorbed, and then the liver right here will detoxify it, Then the liver will send it to where? No, send it to the heart. Send the food to where? To the heart. Where the heart will send the food, the energy to where? All over the body, right? And this circulation like this. You see that? And that's how we stay healthy. We stayed healthy for the last, we don't know how long human history been in the earth. We think maybe about 20, 30,000 years, 40,000 years, something like that. That is how we did for 30, 40,000 years. And when we look at it, we look at this, we find out that when the food comes in through the artery right here from the heart, it gets distributed in the abdomen to the stomach, to the liver, to the pancreas, to the adrenal, to the kidney, to the intestine, to the ovary, to the testicle, to the muscles, then after that to the legs. You understand? The energy distributed. Now, this is all normal. So, what went wrong that we had people, they were looking, people were looking like this. This is a person right here, doesn't look that bad. And they have thin waist. And all of a sudden, we see people start looking like this. They have larger waist. This is the topic of the lecture tonight. It's called central obesity, which you probably need to know the reason behind it so you can appreciate why it's so important to concentrate on the waist to the hip ratio. When we look at the normal way the food enters the body, we have to look at what went wrong, and I will show you in a minute. Long time ago, we used to consume carbohydrate in the form of grains and fruits. You follow me? Forget about the fat. We do not get fat and overweight from fat. We are getting overweight from carbohydrate and sugars. That's the main thing. Are you following me or no? There's nobody gonna enjoy drink a glass of fat. There's nobody gonna eat a piece of fat on the steak and not plate. But they will eat 2-3 potatoes if they can. They will eat 3-4 slices of bread if they can. They will eat 6 pancakes if they can. We have inborn memory from God to us that carbohydrate is our favorite food. That is, we build like that. You cannot deny yourself carbohydrates. You are built like that. To like things that give you energy. Because your ancestors has to work hard in the mountain, in the forest, and all of that, and they have to have energy. So they depended on grains and fruits. What did they eat most of, grain or fruit? Grains. Because where are they going to get fruit from? Fruits are something new. We discovered it accidentally as a gift from God to us in forests and things like that, and we discover something sweet later on. But for 30,000 years, we did not consume that much fruits. As a matter of fact, in my village in Egypt, which we live in the edge of the Sahara Desert, we don't even have, you're lucky if you see 3-4 trees in the whole village. Because they don't grow well in the desert. And they don't produce well, except dates and the dates they do. But that's limited quantity of fruit for the whole family for the whole year. If you get 100 pounds, you get in 100 pounds for 15 people for a whole year. So everybody lucky to get just one date per day. you know. And then you have some honey, but that's commodity is very limited because how much the bees don't have any place to go in the desert to make sweets. So there's no sugars. So when they grow, that's all you eat is carbohydrates, whole grains, and vegetables, whole grains and vegetable and fish, whole grain fish. That's all your life is. So you will have, for breakfast, you will have whole grains and vegetables and fish, and the dinner, whole grains, vegetables and fish, and then the dinner time, that's all you eat day and night. So when you grow older, that's all you know is healthy food. I was talking to somebody today because one of my patients brought me some goat meat because I like organic food, organic meat. And I was telling, my wife, I was telling her that I want it to be cooked certain way. And she said, how do you want it cooked? I said, just in water with nothing else added to it. No spices, no salt, nothing. Just as it is. And I know for somebody who were here, that sounds very yucky. For me, it tastes very good. Me and 6 brothers, when we sit, we will enjoy that so much. With some dandelion next to it, with some tomatoes, and some eggplant, and some pepper, and that's a meal. We will have a bowl with that. Where others, people sitting on the other side of the table from Cairo, they will never touch our food. They will say, you people are primitive. We have fried food, we have greasy food, we have this, we have that, we have that. Look how tasty our food is. It is true, their food is tastier, but when we have the temptation, we go back to our own food as a dessert, as something special. So the taste buds of human race get adapted according to the environment they live in, which is gift from God to all of us. That's the way we are. The carbohydrate, if you take a piece of bread and then like this, it's made from 100,000 molecules of sugar attached to each other. But when you taste it, it's not sugar. But when it goes inside the body, it sits right here in the stomach for 3 hours, and it gets digested to what? To sugars, right? And the sugar entered where? The liver, and enters slowly or fast? Very slowly, over 3 hours, right? So the amount of sugar entering, we call it the glycemic load, is low or high? It's very low, because the liver is getting sugar, because the brain lives on sugar. 70% of the sugar you eat goes to the brain, and 30% to your muscles. All these muscles you have consume only 30%. And the little brain here consumes 70%. Why? Because the human brain is different from animal brain. Human brain is active all the time. Active in thinking, in figuring, in worshiping, in doing all kinds of things. It never goes to sleep. So for that reason, if you get low blood sugar, you get hypoglycemic, you feel bad. If you get low blood sugar, you will do anything to eat. Anything to get sugar, because nobody want to have a stroke. Nobody want to have, because if you don't get sugar in the brain, you will have a stroke. Or the brain, part of it will die. Because no sugar means it will die. And the brain is not going to allow that. So the brain will give you a hard time in shaking, trembling, fainting, stomach pain, hunger pain, sweating, so to get just a piece of sugar. Are you following me? Because that's how the brain survived. But the brain also didn't say, give me, go ahead and have tons of sugar in your body. He just said, give me some sugar. So that is, the sugar goes in, it goes to the heart sends first to the brain 70%, and 30% come to the body. And that's how we lived. Now, something went wrong here. if we look at the human history, we'll find out, I just want to show you a curve. For 1810, there 1810, let's make it 1800, we did not have any obesity, any fat around the waist. Before 1800, we didn't have any through human history. Maybe there are exceptions. There are some people maybe had low thyroid, this and that, and they have some obesity. But in general, the majority of human race did not have overweight. From the pictures you see in the pyramids 6,000 years ago, or you go to China, or you go to any place where pictures were drawn, the Incas, the Mayas, anything you can, you see thin people, thin. Never see fat person. And then by 1810, we start seeing rise in the amount of sugar in the blood. The human cell looks like this. And it has inside it a nucleus which has DNA in it. And when the heart is in the sugar, that's what I said earlier to you, if you remember that, we send it to the cell. The cell have hands like this on it. And the cell will grab the sugar and puts it inside the cell, where in this area right here, there is a chemist sitting in a furnace in a laboratory. It sits right there. He's all night sitting and waiting. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, he gets a phone call from the DNA to tell him, this person is going to wake up in 2 hours. We need some energy. So you feel at 4 in the morning or 3 in the morning, you feel the coldest, and you start getting more covers until, if you sleep until 10 o'clock in the morning, you feel hot. There's more energy is being produced. You follow me? That's the way the body is made. This guy wakes up, and then he will send a messenger, looks like this, with a shopping list in his hand, and he give it to another guy right here, sitting right here, with 2 hands, one inside, one outside, and tell him, we need some sugar. And the sugar goes inside. The sugar cannot move by itself. There is another guy carry the sugar and takes it to this guy here. And he burn it and produce what? The energy. And if you are not lucky that God didn't make you perfect and the hypothalamus gland is working so well, you will melt in 1 hour with the amount of energy produced in the body. The temperature of the body will reach 20,000 degrees in 1 hour. And you will evaporate, not only burn, in 1 hour. And you probably heard it in history that some people were melted or burned in their chair because the gland controls the body temperature. It can't go below 96. It cannot exceed 99. And in anything over 99, you feel burning. Anything like CINCH, you feel shivering, and you have to produce heat so you can get warm again. This is the thermostat between 96 to 99, right? Now, if that thermostat shuts off and the energy keep producing, the temperature of the body will reach 20,000 in less than 1 hour. Not only you die within 5 minutes, you finished completely in no time. So this is how the energy is being produced inside the mitochondria right here. Now, this process is the perfect process right here. Now let us go back to what happened when when this guy here, who's you or me, start eating pieces of sugar. That's a single molecule of sugar, and this person drinking sugar or juice, pieces of glucose like this, filling the stomach. Does sugar need digestion? Yes or no? No, you can't digest sugar. Sugar is already digested, right? So it only goes to here directly to be absorbed, right? So the glass of juice, if you consume a piece of bread, weighs about, let's say, 10 ounces, that will take 3 hours. But if you drink 10 ounces of juice, how long it takes before it enters the liver? Immediately, right? In about, you drink it when you're really hypoglycemic, and you feel the energy right away, in about 5 minutes. And then it goes inside the liver, the sugar, normally, if it's going slowly in the liver, it goes in the liver, and the liver actually convert the normal from the piece of bread I'm talking about now, it will convert the sugar to alcohol. And many of you don't know that sugar converts to alcohol before it goes to energy. So if you consume sugar, would you think the body will like more sugar or more bread? More sugar naturally, because it's easier to get energy from. But is that the right way or no? No, it's not. Okay, let me ask you another question, and that will explain even alcohol. Would you think the body will like alcohol or sugar more? Alcohol more, that's right. Why is that? Cheap source of energy. Doesn't need anything. There's no metabolism involved, no enzymes, no absorption, no digestion, nothing. It goes, you drink it, and it's already in your blood. Is that the right way? No, never the right way. That fermentation is good for us. I mean, some people done it over the years, drink alcohol because they're sick, or they drink because they're cold, or they drink because they have pain. You know, alcohol can be used as medicine, but never should be used as a source of what? Energy or pleasure. And sugar should never be used as a source of energy or pleasure, like birthdays and honey and Valentine's Day. When you love somebody, you kill them with sugar. You just give him more sugar, when you love him more. This is all habits we developed, and the body gets addicted to it. Because the body will get addicted very easy. Teach it how to like alcohol, will like alcohol. And we never like sugar. Teach it to like sugar, we love sugar, but we never like bread. You see that in kids. Because the body doesn't like to work hard, but that's not the right thing to do. So this 10 ounces of juice, how long it took to enter to the liver? It took like, say, 1 minute. 1 minute. So the glycemic index, or the glycemic load on the liver, is it high or low? With the sugar, like that. Very high. How much sugar entering the liver per minute is? Can you turn your phones off, please, everybody? Okay. The glycemic load is what causes obesity around the waist. It's what causes heart disease. It's what's causing cancer. It's what's causing diabetes. It's what's causing misery. It's what's causing gas. It's what's causing arthritis. That is the central obesity, which we will talk about it right now. So here is somebody start using sugar instead of what? Whole grain. And that person who did that is us. In the year 1810, white flour was introduced to human race for the first time for commercial purpose by Pillsbury Brothers in Minnesota. They figured they can make the mill, and that's why they call the milling, on the river. And rather than having the whole wheat spoiling all the time and fermenting, and the mother and the father, they have to grind the wheat every day and cook every day. No, they want to sit for a long time without fermentation. So what they did, they separated the wheat germ from wheat. They separated the bran from this. So they developed white flour, and we all loved it. And then when we loved it, the word white became very famous. White shirt, white people, white clothes, white this, white starch. The white become good and the black becomes bad, or the dark. You follow me? Okay. I remember when my mother used to wash our clothes, we had no soap, basically, in the village. How do we wash clothes? She would take it to the river, the Nile, in the mud, and mix all the clothes in the mud and rub it in the mud and rinse it in the water and hang it, and all the clothes look the same color, which doesn't have any color, but smell fresh, because clay is one of the best cleaner anti-germs in the world. Clay, you can use it on wounds, you can use it on clothes. You know that, right? But we didn't think white is better, because this is the color we got used to. But when you go to Cairo, said, gosh, what do you look like? You need white clothes. You got to bleach your clothes. So I visit my aunt in Alexandria, and all of a sudden she's taken all my clothes, put it in a pot, mix it with a baking soda, I'm boiling it, and says, see how your shirt is clothes is white now. It didn't make a difference to me, one color or the other, but she made me think that is better. Because they live in the city, we live in the village. They have to be superior somehow. You follow me? That's a human race attitude toward each other. So the sugar was introduced, white sugar. With it, the sugar level in the body will start going up. Let us go back to the cell again to see what went wrong. What went wrong is the liver, when it received the sugar and sent it to the body, it has excess sugar produced. And the amount of sugar coming in, 1820, 1830, 1840 from white flour, and 1870, that's when the maple syrup, corn syrup will start being popular and sugar produced. This is white flour. This is sugar or corn syrup was introduced. Was not enough to have white flour. It was even better to have white flour with syrup on it called pancakes and have sugar. And if you sell it, it becomes popular, because everybody would like sugar. Of course, that's the source of energy. You follow me or no? But there's no doctors. Nobody can detect. We have a disease developing called hyperglycemia at that time. Then in the English army and the French army, the armies of Europe were invading the world, taking over the United States, taking over the whole world, the colonization process. They start saying some soldiers are fatigued and tired. So the doctor would check them out, and he said, well, how you feel? I don't feel good. Then he checks the mouth, the eye, and this and this. And then one of the doctors start tasting the urine of every soldier. And this was recorded in the English ships and the French ships, and Italian, all that in the record has been recorded. And Stanford University and Harvard University, they went 1999 to the record in France and all this, and they looked at the record, And they found the doctors were tasting the urine, and they said that soldier should go home because his urine is sweet. And they named it mellitus, means honey. Diabetes mellitus means sweet urine. And that's how mellitus means honey, means diabetes. So they named it honey, sweet, tastes like honey, and he's not good. He can go back. But the sugar continued to be produced, and then the body started continue to have more sugar and more sugar and more sugar, and the excess sugar by 1970, we start having too much sugar in the human body. When Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola introduced too much sugar in their drinks, they start putting more sugar in their cans. And the amount of sugar disease start going up, also sugar in the blood, called diabetes mellitus. And then by the year 2000, we discover the cause of the disease right here. Was the sugar and the white what? White flour. The liver is very smart. It turned out to be smarter than you, because the liver knows exactly what you want. So the liver figures out that if there is so much sugar, he's going to send it extra in the body so the kidney can get it out. But the liver will find out the sugar keep coming, then will convert the sugar to several things. That is the topic of central obesity of the lecture of CINCH diet right now. The liver start converting the extra sugar to the following things. To VLDL, which is what? Very low density lipoprotein. Is that good or bad? Very bad. It will clog arteries very fast, and VLDL is a very sticky fat that it will clog all these hands right here. Right here. All the hands are clogged. So the liver produces VLDL that clogs all the hands. And what is the place, what is this stuff right here? Is sort of a kind of fat. Then also the liver starts to produce another substance called LDL, which is a little bit bigger molecule, less dangerous, than VLDL, but also get produced. Also will make a layer right here of fat around the cell of the body. Are you following me so far? Then produces another kind called triglycerides. Did you see cholesterol here anymore? Did I mention the word cholesterol? None. So cholesterol has nothing to do with all of that. Low density lipoprotein is just fat. VLDL is fat. Triglyceride is fat. So none of that stuff is cholesterol. You follow me or no? So it is true HDL is a good cholesterol, we call it, but it's a good fat. So we started blaming cholesterol for our problem, but actually our problem was accumulation of what? Different fat, and the fat will start accumulating, if we find that guy was here a few minutes ago right here, they start accumulating, the fat starts accumulating around these arteries, around this artery, this artery, this artery, this artery right here, and then around the stomach. This is called the central obesity. Is that good or bad? So having these fatty deposits in the abdomen is bad enough. And if some of you are nurses or doctor right here, when we open the abdomen, what color we see around the intestine? yellow color. We see fat, and we see so much of it. Layers after layer. We have even something called liposuction, that you put and suck fat out. You follow me or no? This not only unhealthy, it doesn't feel good, it doesn't look good. Because if less blood go into the stomach, here, what happened to the digestion? Good or bad? If the pancreas here doesn't get enough circulation, the enzymes doesn't come out, so we have indigestion and stuff is not digested. When food doesn't get digested, it gets fermented. When it gets fermented, it gets bloating. When it gets bloated, it gets more gas. You follow me or no? Then we have the kidney, we have the ovaries, we have the uterus, we have all kinds of diseases. I don't have the time to go through every one of them, but we're gonna, because we need to cover the CINCH diet. So this here is the cause. This here, right, the process consuming too much fruit juice, corn syrup, and sugar is the problem. Produces fat. What happens if you chew a piece of bread? You can ask me that question. What happens if I eat lots of whole bread? Like eat a whole bread, big loaf of bread this big, whole wheat. You'll be lucky to digest and absorb 10% of it, 20% of it. You follow me? You keep it chewing. It doesn't matter how hard you try, you only can break 20% of the cells. But the amount of exercise you did will probably lose weight eating that whole bread and gain weight. But if it was white bread, it would be different. It will absorb right away. Let me give you another example. What happens if you get 10 ounces of juice and 10 ounces of fruits, like apples, really sweet apple, and then you keep chewing on the apple? You'd be lucky if you can even get 30% of the sugar of the apple. You'd be so lucky if you did. Because you cannot break the cells. You don't have enough hydraulic pressure, to break every cell in that apple. You're not a juicer here. You follow me? So eating fruits and grains is the right thing from the beginning. And getting the corn syrup and the sugar was the wrong thing from 1810. And we can go back to that. This started producing the VLDL and the LDL and triglycerides, and that was caused central obesity, and that will make the cell cover with fat. I'm going to make you the doctor, and I'm the patient. If I am that patient, that every cell in my body is covered with fat, my energy is produced inside or outside of the cell? Inside. Would I have, if I'm eating food for energy, carbohydrate or sugar or fat or sweets or juice, whatever, do I have enough sugar inside the cell or no? Because it cannot go what? Across. So the person who's overweight, who's diabetic, they're always hypoglycemic inside the cell. And the more weight they have, the more hypoglycemic they have. And this is why you cannot criticize anybody who is overweight, who is eating too much sugar. It's an insult, because they only want to survive. Are you following me or not? It's a shame that in the family, the one who is overweight has to hide someplace to eat more and eat less with the family and eat the rest later on, because they're afraid they're going to be told, you're fat, you're a pig, you this, you that. But if you know it is not their control, it is the way God told them, the brain is not getting enough sugar, you better eat more. And they keep eating more and more and more and more, because if the blood sugar is 100 here, normally it's 60 here. And when you eat a meal, it gets to 140 and inside goes to 80. But in those people, it goes, you can have 100, inside is 40. You go to 140, inside is 40. You go to 180 blood sugar, inside is 40. You go to 300 blood sugar, inside is 40. You go to 700 blood sugar, inside is 40. Are you following me or not? So there are people who can eating sugar, and diabetic until they go in a coma because they have hypoglycemia inside the cell. So our goal is to what? Dissolve the fat around the cells. And that is what the CINCH diet does. Dissolving the fat around the cells. That's why it works. So this is one problem this person have. This is just one problem right here. They have hypoglycemia. There is another problem they have. When they have so much sugar produced here, the liver senses so much sugar is in the blood. So the liver will tell the extra sugar to convert, the liver will secrete a hormone called growth hormone to tell you, grow, get bigger, so you can use the sugar. But we already grown. So what will happen, the only part will grow are the flesh. So the skin starts growing bigger, and we have skin tags coming out of the skin, polyps out of the colon growing out, the breast gets larger, the prostate gets larger, the intestine gets larger, and we start having cancer developing from the growth hormone. Are you following or not? Even the eye grow. You see the kids, when they eat lots of sugar, their eye will start growing to the point they need glasses when they are younger. But if you go 300 years ago, there was no glasses. How did the human being see for 30,000 years without glasses? You follow me? This is all new phenomena. Girls, the ovaries grow this big at the age of 9. When it grows at the age of 9, it produces what? Hormones. So they start having a period. But 1810, they had the period at the age of 16. Now, at the age of 10. Is that healthy or not? The height. The kids start growing taller. Too much sugar. Now the growth hormone. The faster you grow, the more disease you develop. Because that's not normal. The average height for human men was 5.6. The average height now is 5.9. The average height for women is 5.2. The average height for women is 5.4 or 5.5. You follow me or no? So people think not only white is better, taller is better, bigger is better, and in medically speaking, no. We know taller women has more cancer than shorter women. We know that larger ovaries has more cancer than smaller ovaries. Larger breasts have more cancer than smaller breasts. Are you following me or no? Larger prostate have more cancer than small prostate. So it's not the larger the better, it's the healthier. There are some people naturally or through history were taller nations, like those African tribes that they born that way. Maybe God made them that way for a reason. For hunting or something, whatever, they grow taller. Others have to be shorter. The Eskimos, maybe because they're cold and they have to adapt certain way to the environment that way. That's not unhealthy, that's not unhealthy. But the average human race went up by 4 inches, men and women. So that is what we're noticing. So it is not something to be proud of and say, oh my gosh, my daughter is 10 now, she have her period, she's going to have a boyfriend and all of this stuff. That's unhealthy. Because the brain have not matured. But the body is maturing. So you have a child with an immature woman, which it doesn't work. You follow me or no? So can we reverse all of this? Of course we can. All we have to do, go back to the basics again and insist that the children has to be raised that way. And I did that to my grandchildren. The 5 grandchildren I have, the triplet we have, 8 years old, they have their first candy this year in 8 years. Because one of their friends gave it to them in school, and I said, okay, go ahead and have it. But I gave them the lecture with it. They sat down and I showed them the picture. And after I finished, they wanted to put their finger and vomit it out. I thought, that's okay, no, don't do that. That's okay. As a matter of fact, if you want to go with me right now, the kids start, my friend drinks so much Coke, so much Pepsi, so much this. I said, you know what? I can take you right now to McDonald's, have you if you want a Coke, I'll give you one. As long as you know it's bad for you, you're not going to do it again. But if you know it's good for you, you're going to repeat it. So I took them to McDonald's. I said, okay, go ahead and order your Coke. They would not. They were frozen. Then I ordered a Coke. I said, everyone take a sip. Now you had Coke. Now we'll throw the rest away. You follow me? Psychologically, we teach them they're not abnormal, but they are smarter than the others, but with a reason. You know, we give them. So the people who have obesity, they have to worry about lots of things. Not only lack of circulation to the stomach, to the intestine, to this, and obesity, they have to also worry about the clogged arteries inside their body that's causing disease. That's why the CINCH diet was important. And I want to show you a few pictures right here of different things. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to, before I forget to mention right here, is I just want to mention that so you really understand it before we leave this. It just came to my mind. The fat we had in our cells in the wall right here in our ancestors, the fat they had was omega-3 and omega-6. You follow me? Our fat here is VLDL and LDL and triglycerides. See the difference between one and the other. Another thing I want you to know, something really, really important, which is good news. If you take your brain, and don't do that, but if we take that and analyze it for how much fat in it, omega-3 in this society, in the Eskimos, the fat in the brain is about 80 to 90% of the fat in the cell is omega-3. In us here, 0.01%. And the rest is saturated fat. The nice thing about it is omega-3 doesn't get burned out. So if you change the diet, every omega-3 goes in, it doesn't come out. It kicks equal amount out of saturated fat. So it never burns. Omega-3 doesn't burn out. You can burn oil and produce energy, but you cannot burn omega-3. So when we tell somebody, eat lots of fish, take 16 omega-3 a day, 20 a day, 30 a day, 50 a day, 20 a day, they always get that, you get this look at you that you really hate them or something by saying that. Or you tell them, eat some fish, they hate you for it. No, you got to tell them, you need to replace the bad in your brain that's going to give you Alzheimer and give you all problems with the good one that's coming. So it is reversible. You understand? So that's why when you go on this diet, CINCH diet, you have to consume large amount of omega-3 with it. 10, 15, 20 to replace it. How much you can take without burning fish, do it. Because nobody likes to do that. Nobody have the smell or the taste, but you can figure things out. It's not my problem. It's you and me working together. I think if you have a breakfast and have like 3 or 4 after breakfast, you're not going to feel anything bad from it. Some of you did that, right? And then last lunch, you have big salad and you have like 6. You're not going to feel anything because it gets mixed with the salad. And then when it gets mixed with don't take it on an empty stomach. Take it after meals. But you need lots of omega-3. This is the part I just want to forget about that when we talk about that CINCH diet. There is so many. I had so many pictures right here, but I don't have the time to show you all of it. So when we have so much fat around the intestine, that fat will produce. Here is the artery in your intestine. This is the arteries inside your intestine, your stomach, your waist. That's what the artery looks like. That's a good artery, by the way, right here. And that's the third layer of the artery. Artery has 3 layers to it because it has lots of pressure. And the blood goes from here and come out through here, right? Like this. Can you see that? Now we start having the cells surrounded by what? Fat. So is this arteries in the abdomen elastic or hard? Hard. When they're hard, they could break or no? They can have aneurysm and they can break easy. And some of the fat can deposit inside the artery here also and block this. So less blood coming through. Less blood go to the intestine, to the ovary, every place less blood, then we have a problem. And when less blood goes through, then we have diseases, we have inflammation. Because fat will lead to coronary artery disease. Coronary artery disease will lead to inflammation because right here inside the metabolism we have something called nutrigene, a gene inside your body to tell you should be healthy. Inside the DNA there is a gene wants you to be healthy. It fights cancer, it fights aging, it fights disease. The nutrigene, it wants to express itself, but it can't. So what happens to the nutrigene sometimes produces gene transcription, nuclear RNA problems and messenger, and then you start having problem with the energy metabolism, with cell differentiation and cell growth, which will lead to cancer. So the problem is when we want to get rid of fat, we try to get rid of inflammation. Because people who have too much fat also produces prostaglandin, interleukin, inflammation. They're like fire inside the body. The more fat around the waist, the more fire inside the body, and you don't feel it. Aches, pains, headaches, migraine, gas, you just don't feel good. And then you notice when you go without food for a period of time, like juicing or something, you feel good, right or wrong? And when you go eat more, you just feel sluggish again, because the intestine can't digest. And the food sets and sets and sets and ferments and ferments and ferments, and they can't take it. There's too many toxicity. This is called inflammation. This inflammation can cause cancer, can cause heart attack, can cause Alzheimer, can cause heart failure, strokes, and all of these things from inflammation. So doing the diet gets rid of obesity, but also gets rid of lots of diseases. And those diseases we're going to show you, okay, by the way, this is a picture of a human cell right here. That's a real picture of real cell. And just to show you, some of you who doesn't know a little bit of anatomy, these are the hands right here, and those are the hands that get full. Can you see that or no? But I want to show you something about the cell. This has nothing to do with the lecture, that actually when you burn fat out of the body and you clean the cell, I don't know, there's too much light right here. You cannot see it very well. But I want to move it up here. You see that red spots, dots coming out of the cell? I don't know if you can see that or not, because the light here is not very good. This is a detoxification process. That's how the body. So not only you detoxify the cell and you get younger and get better, get rid of cancer, get rid of arthritis, see all the thing coming out right here, secretion coming out of the cells. They get accumulated in capsules, go in canals, and they come out through here. The human body is amazing of detoxifying itself and rejuvenating itself even. A person can be 40, looks like 70, and they can become 70, look like 40. Again, it's the body have the ability to regenerate. The brain, the heart, the skin, the bones, all can regenerate. But you have to give it a chance to do that. Another thing very important, you have to know that your cells inside the body, they don't live alone. Every cell in your body communicates with the one next door to it. If one cell decides to become cancer, the one next to it knows that. And I want to show you two cells next to each other right here, that cell and this is how they look like. You can peel them through, but all the contact points right there, that's how the telephone wires, the cable wire, the internet, going between one and the other right here. You see right here, right there is the canal right there. Channel between the cells, connections right there, like computer. And those canals can communicate 10 billion messages per second for every cell to another cell. This is why we say the body can regenerate itself. Even in terminal cancer, it can regenerate itself. Just don't give up on anybody. We had a woman about 22 years ago that had Alzheimer. And we never gave up on her. And now she has no Alzheimer, and she's 93, and she drives to the clinic every month. Because we never give up. We said, we don't know what's going to happen. Let's try. Let us try. And she was on Shackley and taking more and more and more and more. And we continued to figure hormones, figure this, figure that, figure that. And then 90% of the time, I didn't know what I'm doing. You know, I just do tests, everything looks normal, but the person's having Alzheimer. So I know I'm missing something. So I said, let's go to nutrition and see what happened. When everything fails, go to nutrition and take the credit. As everybody think you're a smart doctor or something. So you see right here, I want you to look at the communication, but I want you to see the hands again in the top. You see those in the top of the cells. See right here? And that's where the fat gets accumulated right here. And that's how the cell dies. After you already know that, then now let us look at circulation. What circulation is supposed to look like. The arteries supposed to look clean like this. But that person have a little bit of fat filled well. And if you look right here, you see the streaks of fat inside the artery start depositing right there. That's the beginning of blockage. And that person, this can happen in the heart. It can happen to the brain, to the neck. It can happen any place, right? And whatever organ is going to cause problem in that organ. So I wanted to skip through that. this information. I always put so much information. Here's another picture of the brain, and see how much blood the brain have in it. And if this gets clogged, see the brain right here, so how much blood vessel? The brain have 1, 2, 3, 4 canals. 2 right here in the front, and 2 inside the spinal cord, inside the vertebral column. So God says, okay, if you compress these, I have 2 in the back, and the person is not going to pass out. You follow me? There is always that reverse mechanism is going on right there. And because the brain controls, I can even see the writing on this thing. Okay, and it looks fine like that. The brain needs the blood to communicate, needs the blood to function, and the nerves need to go out of the brain to go different parts of the body, as you can see. Some goes to the tongue, some goes to the eye, some goes to the nose, some goes to every place, needs blood to go to it. Here is some going to the eye, nerves to the eye. So when the circulation goes down, everything goes wrong inside the body. This is another one right here, just to make you really appreciate the nervous system, the circulation to the brain. All of these nerves control all these parts of the body, right, that also will be affected by obesity we're talking about. We will then just skip through all of that stuff, and then I want to show you the abdominal arteries, the central obesity of people, real people who died from obesity. You know, it might look gross to some of you, but you know what? The best thing I can do for you is to make you sick by looking at somebody who's dead. So you yourself, when you're ready to have your sugar, your intake, remember that. You're going to be the next one. This person right here, how old? This is 27 years old. And right here, 27 right here, 27-year-old man whose cause of death was unclear. But in all this red stuff is fat inside the abdominal artery. Is that sad or not at 27 years of age? This one right here, you cannot see it very well, but the artery is going like this. One go to the right leg and the left leg, and right here in the right leg, it has a blood clot in it. So that was 32 years old male suicide. He killed himself. Maybe he didn't have enough circulation to the brain. This is what the artery looks like when clogged suddenly. This is an open artery, 90% of blockage, and this has got clogged, and the person was 40 years old man, had sudden death. And so these are the pictures that I want you to remember about your central obesity. This is a 33 years old. That's all fat, and that is 33 years old women who died suddenly from myocardial infarction. So when you say, no, it's not me, it's going to happen to somebody else, believe me, you could be the next person, or I could be the next person. Only God knows when that moment comes. But we got to prepare ourselves for that not to happen. Because if I ask you to go from here to Los Angeles, drive a car, you will check the oil, you check the engine, you check everything. You are going on a trip to last 100 years. But you think the body just automatically cleans itself. It has its own radiator, doesn't need water, doesn't need fuel, doesn't need nothing, just keep going. Last night I had a guy came to my house from ADT company security because I want to put security in the office. We had drugs stolen from the cabinets. So we put in some sensors on the cabinets to notify the police if somebody opened a cabinet, the police will come and catch them right away. So I was telling him, you know, how old are you? And he said, I'm like 42 or something like that. I said, are you taking vitamins? No, I don't need it. Why not? Because I'm eating fine, and I feel fine. I said, would you treat your car the same way you treat your body? He looked like this. No. What vitamins should I take? One a day? I said, no. Find somebody who says Shackley and go to him. Oh, I heard about that company. So that was the end of the conversation. I told him, just go and then give me the ADT security, and I don't want to talk anymore. So this person here is that we talked about this one here. This is look how much fat that have in it. And that's a 28 years old male victim of homicide. Look at the right leg, how much blockage in 28 years old. See that? It's almost 90% blocked. We didn't know any of this. I want to tell you, this is a miracle that even we have these pictures. Because doctor in Louisiana, before the thing happened, the flooding and all of that, about 2 years before, was accumulating all the slides of the dead people for the last 30 or 40 years. And then the technology was not available, but he was keeping the parts of the body. And then when technology became available that you can dissect millimicrons and have microns, he produced the atlas for us. So this is from his atlas, you know, that produced. We didn't know that. Even me, I didn't know it was that bad, you know, until he showed it to us. And then when I showed it to my grandchildren, they got sick. They did. Okay, now I wanted to show you. I'm not going to show any more arteries because you're going to just leave the room. So we just going to, right here, I want to show you something even, it's going to require you to think a little bit. What do you see here? What you see here is a cross-section of the same arteries we saw earlier. Are you following me or no? Now, the same doctor who took pictures, he cut them 1 micron at a time to show us what they look like. And here is the blockage beginning in the artery of the abdomen right here. You see that bulge right there. How old is that person? Well, this thing is not moving. Okay, how old is that person? 7 years old female. It doesn't matter the cause of death. I'm just showing you a disease. And the next one is 18 years old next to it. So these kids we have nowadays, they have blocked arteries, but it's not showing yet. You really don't want to wait until you have symptoms, just like waiting until the engine starts knocking. You don't want to do that. This is another cross-section of another artery of somebody who is 29 years old female victim of homicide. See the blockage right here, beginning. So when you see real pictures, then you appreciate the lecture we're given today about central obesity, what we're going to do about this. This is a 38 years old male. See the punch of the fatty deposits inside the artery right here. And then if you let it go a little bit longer, this is, that's the same person before, but we magnified the core, and you see the crystals of fat becomes crystallized inside. And all of these things can be removed with that new diet that was developed by Shackley Company. These are inside the wall of the artery. You see the crystals of the fat of the abdomen. And this is the cell itself. Well, look how much fat inside the cell. This is the cell itself, one just single cell. Look how much fat inside it. That's a 50 years old woman whose death was due to myocardial infarction. Look how much fat inside the cell and outside of the cell. So when we talked about all of that, then we have a very good idea that we should do something about these deposits inside the body, and that is a section right here of an artery of somebody who is 38 years old male. Look at the crystals of the artery. That artery, you can just take it and break it in half. If he cough or bend suddenly, it can break in half. You think so or no? If you don't think so, then let me magnify it and show you. That's what it looks like, the artery inside. That looks healthy or no? No, because you could be constipated and then strain and the artery just rupture, or left, or do that, and this happens all the time. One time I was working in Good Samaritan Hospital in Downers Grove, and I was in the emergency room, and I heard the ambulance, the radio talk, that somebody was in the bathroom. My husband was in the bathroom, he passed out. He had severe pain, and he fell to the ground. So immediately I called the vascular surgeon to come right away, and I called the surgery suite to get ready for aneurysm rupture. I got the blood transfusion ready. And when the ambulance arrived, routinely you have to enter all the papers. I refused to enter any papers. We took him, we didn't care about any insurance, take him right away to the surgery suite. Within 2 minutes from arriving, he was in the suite. Within 5 minutes, he was opened up. And the artery was bleeding and was closed, and he lived. But that's listen to us, to learn. We don't want to wait until this. Some of you will go have a stress test and say, I had a stress test and it was fine, this means my heart is fine. 50% of the stress tests are inaccurate. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the diet itself. The CINCH diet then was designed to get rid of the central obesity in the abdomen by consuming a special protein that it has in it 2 amino acids, leucine and isoleucine in large amount, which have the ability to encourage your body to burn fat and build the muscles in place of it. You follow me? Doing that, burning fat and build the muscle, you produce what? Energy. So you don't become hungry and you have energy. And how many people here have tried this diet? You can raise your hand, how many people tried this diet? All of you tried it, you notice something, you lose inches around the waist, right or wrong? And you have more energy or no? More energy. Where do you get it from? Because you're dissolving the fat around the cells and having the sugar go inside easy, so you have more energy. And so the only thing about it is you got to do it exactly how the company recommended. The company spent millions of dollars developing something, and you have to consume the protein like they say to consume it, and then they added to it 2 products. One is called 3-in-1, which is basically to stimulate the metabolism, and the other teas of different kind that stimulate metabolism also. It has lots of other benefits. You can name it, hundreds of benefits they have. We don't have the time to count each one of them tonight. We can take just one lecture on one of the tea alone. The green tea or the white tea or any of them, we can have a lecture on that. Or the taurine or any of those. But we don't have time for that. The main thing is you got to know why does it work. Because the leucine and isoleucine, and because the 3-in-1, and because the tea, and the exercise. The exercise, the reason you have to exercise is because you got so much energy and you need to burn it out. You follow me or not? And you don't want to you don't want to burn it in front of the TV, watching TV. You want to burn it having fun. Walking, you have the pedometers. It comes with it. That you should be walking about 10,000 steps, which equal to about 3 miles or something like that. And if you really count it, if you put them down, you walk that much actually every day. Between the kitchen, bedroom, here, you count at least 3 miles. 2-3 miles you count. But with the CINCH, you burn and you lose. Without it, you don't. The only thing is, I have 72 patients so far on it. Only 2 patients, we had to do electrocardiogram and a stress test for them because they felt chest palpitation, and we want to know why they have palpitation, because they had heart disease, and the tea just made the heart work faster, and they can take it. So we said, okay, you continue with the diet, but we're going to give you Indrol or Metoprolol or Atenolol with it, so your heart doesn't get in trouble until you get better. But we did not stop the diet. We slowed down the tea, continue with the diet, and then added the tea little more and more later on. I think I'm going to stop right here to give you some time for questions, because we have lots of things we can go through. I don't want to talk anymore, put you to sleep. So I'm going to put my phone number for you. My personal phone number is 847. I forgot. 571-3914. That's a cellular number. And the office number is the same, area code 356-9009. If you have any question about this is the office, about that diet, you can call me, and 90% of the time you do not have to come to the office. We can solve it by the phone. And I get about 40 calls a day for people I don't know. Right, Jamie? Okay. Because he called me lots of time, and I enjoy the conversation. He gave me all this experience from all over the country that I get excited about. So anyway, I'll ask you to ask questions about it. I'm going to stay here until all the questions are answered. I'm not leaving because I deserve to be punished to stay overnight here because I was late. So you have the first question.
I have a question about artificial sweeteners.
Artificial sweeteners cause problems, but there are natural sweeteners do not have calories, like stevia, like ribose.
What about Splenda?
Well, Splenda can be used. Splenda is not bad compared to the others. Splenda probably the safest of the artificial sweeteners, because Splenda actually sugar that was heated sugar that reverse the left to the right. So Splenda actually goes in and out. It doesn't get absorbed at all. Where NutraSweet does get absorbed and cause cancer and other cause problems. Okay? So I would use it. If I have fat around the waist versus using a Splenda, I use a Splenda. Are you following me? Because you got to compare one thing to the other. We're dealing with serious problems here, and the others is not as serious. Yes?
I have a friend that's allergic. She says to caffeine. Can she still drink the tea? Doesn't drink tea yet.
Okay, let me, I'm going to repeat the question because the people in the back probably, they don't hear it. The question is, she have a friend allergic to tea, allergic to caffeine, okay? First of all, there's nobody in the world allergic to caffeine. So tell your friend there's no such thing called allergy to caffeine, because caffeine is the natural product that is similar to any hormone in the body, similar to dopamine, similar to serotonin, to adrenaline, all the enes, caffeine, theine, nicotine. Even nicotine in cigarette is not harmful in pills. or patches. Only in inhaler is harmful. Are you following me or not? I'm not telling you to go and get nicotine or get caffeine or get cocaine. It has AINE, also cocaine, lidocaine, xylocaine, novocaine, dopamine. All the ins in biochemistry means they are natural alkaloids. They're good for the body, for stimulation and things like that. The problem with them, we abuse them. But you cannot tell a woman, you cannot tell a person who have a migraine headache, don't have caffeine. Because that is the best treatment beside nutrition for migraine. So somebody who cannot tolerate caffeine probably have an anxiety, have heart problem, and probably stimulate too much to the body that think they have allergy to it. Okay, there's other problems. Maybe that person needs more calcium, maybe more magnesium, maybe potassium to calm him down. We still take the tea if they need to lose the weight. But there's no allergy to caffeine. Yes?
Can you explain, when we have some people ask us and they're diabetic, can they go on CINCH?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The way the diabetic, you're going to do it with them is you're going to watch the blood sugar because it has more calories in it. In that case, you might like to add soy complex to the CINCH, 2 tablespoons soy complex to the CINCH drink, and maybe have that maybe 3 times a day in a smaller quantity. It doesn't have to be 2 drinks. It can be 3 drinks. It can be 4 drinks and smaller quantity. Are you following me? So you want the sugar not to go too high. You can, but they need to check the blood sugar. But definitely, CINCH diet is great for lowering triglyceride, VLDL, LDL, blood sugar, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, all of these things. I do advise, if you're going to go on these diets and you have some doubts, you have medical problem, you consult with your doctor, work with the doctor, or that person can talk to me on the phone and I can tell him what to do, because I'm allowed legally to do phone consultation without seeing the patient. Are you following me? So that I can do that. And the patient will ask the question, I tell him, cut your insulin a little bit, do this, do that, do this, and they check your blood sugar, and that's what we will do. We'll go in the back, yes.
Have you had anyone mention to you that they feel bloated using CINCH and soy?
Anything can happen to anybody, depending how unhealthy the digestive system is. But you got a new diet, you don't have enough aptoflora, you don't have enough digestive enzymes, you don't have enough of those, maybe that person will go slowly. Maybe they need more digestive enzymes. Maybe they need to take more charcoal tablets over the counter to absorb gas from the intestine. You follow me? We're not going to stop the diet for any complaint. Well, the diet will continue, but we're going to have to find something comfortable for the person. Just like the diabetes question right here. That's a serious question right there. Diabetes is not controlled, it's serious. So what you going to do about it? Then we can work around that. We can go on the back, yes.
How much caffeine is in a dose? I don't know if this is a tablet form, a powder form. How much caffeine is in a pill a day, or whatever you have to take?
You're talking about the CINCH diet.
Yeah.
CINCH diet doesn't have only caffeine. It has theine, it has caffeine, it has taurine, it has many alkaloids. It's not only caffeine.
I realize that, but how much caffeine is in?
I think you have to check with the company. It depends. I didn't check on the dose because it's not important to me. If people go to Starbucks, then they can take lots of CINCH. Because one Starbucks is 500 milligrams of caffeine per cup or something, enough to cause cardiac arrest. So, yesterday I went to a restaurant and I said, I feel like I have a cup of coffee. I don't drink coffee except like once a week and have a cup or once every 2 weeks. Then gave me that cup, it tasted like mud. And then I take a sip and I told my nephew, I said, gosh, this is terrible. What is this? He said, look at the sign, Starbucks. I said to the lady, this is terrible. She said, that's a Starbucks. You want to take some home? I said, no. You know, so I only had 2 sips of that before I left to the restaurant. So I think the caffeine amount, like this lady said, it has to be adjusted to your metabolism. If you have hyperthyroidism or hyperadrenalism or high metabolic problem, then you need to adjust the dose with the coffee you drink. But in general, it is being adjusted scientifically properly. That when you do the 3-in-1, you drink the tea as they suggested, 99% of the time there's no problem. 1% of the time you will have problems. Then you got to work around it. You might like to cut the dose down and see how much your body can take. So it's not really the dose is important, it's how much the body can take. Anybody in the way in the back? In the very way in the back.
How come you can physically see the fat leaving, but you don't see any weight loss?
Because the fat is lighter weight than muscles. And then you're going to burn, you're going to lose fat first and build the muscle later, so there is a compensation. There's some fat coming out, muscle built in, so the difference is noticeable, but it's not like in other diet that you lose so fast and gain it so fast. With CINCH, when you lose it, you maintain it that way, because there's muscle buildup. Yes?
Can you explain the difference between this diet and other diets like Atkins diets and all those diets that are so popular?
Well, the only difference between this diet and other diets, I said earlier, is this having the leucine and isoleucine in it, you build the muscles and lose fat, and then you're not hungry and you don't need all of these special diets. So I think what I'm going to probably predict is when you lose it, you probably don't gain it because like the other ones, you do fast. Because number one, the Atkins, you eating so much fat, and that's unhealthy. The other diets, you restrict so much calories restrictions that you starve your body, and your body goes in low metabolic rate, and you don't lose anymore. But having the tea, we're talking about, keep you keep you active, so you don't revert to stationary state. That's the difference between the diets. Yes, next to it.
Can you drink the tea in the evening, or will the caffeine and what's in there keep you awake?
Yeah, the caffeine will keep you awake all night, yeah. Yeah, you only lose weight in the daytime. Yes.
A person was, really loves diet sodas. Is this feasible?
Somebody loves diet sodas. Is that feasible? First of all, I never will recommend diet soda or anybody. Just like somebody will ask me, I get that question all the time. I like to drink alcohol once in a while. What do you think? No. I tell them, how about asking me if you can have cocaine once in a while? How should I answer you? I tell the patient the same question. Both of you make you feel different. I tell them, alcohol is used customarily in occasions that you don't want to feel stressed and you want to feel, like calm or comfortable after a stressful day. And that habit, we need to cut it off. Because you know what synergism is? Synergism is when you have one chemical cause one harm. Another chemical cause one harm. When you take them both together, you don't have two. You could have 3, you could have 100, you could have 10. It's called synergism. You see that in the waste dump. The trash of every home goes there. This has chemical, this has chemical, this has chemical. When they accumulate them together, you have a chimney coming out with gas. You see the synergism right there. And you don't like to live over that because you'll have cancer. So that's the same thing of somebody asking me. If somebody asks you, can I have any poison whatsoever, even a small quantity? You say no. You want to do it, do it. But you don't want to recommend it. If somebody said, I want to jump Lake Michigan in the middle of the winter, I want to drive over the lake when the ice is thin, because everybody made it, I want to do it. I said, no, I wouldn't do it. Why? Because if one chance is going to cause danger, then all of them are wrong. We human not designed to be machines, jump, from heights and abuse the body and do this. We need to exercise with a limitation. So the same thing with drinks. What's wrong with water? What is wrong with tea or coffee? What's wrong with milk? You know what I mean? There are so many drinks you can make healthy beside diet stuff. As a matter of fact, I tell that person, drink regular Coke with sugar and it's safer than diet. Because with sugar, you'll have fat. With the other, you have cancer. So you're going to explain that way. Any other questions? Yes?
Can you replace, Seth, you mentioned stevia, is that something, you sweeten your drinks with that, be all right?
Stevia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, stevia is great. Yeah, that's fine. There's no problem with it. There's so many natural sweeteners in the market. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I was told that if you use a Mega Guard and you burp up the fish oil, that you can keep it in the freezer. Does that do anything with the absorption in your body?
No, but I think it will still give you the same burping in the freezer, out of the freezer. I think you have to take it after a meal.
It doesn't. If you put it in the freezer, I've been doing that, and it doesn't give you the...
If you take 14 of them, it will.